Hi, this is Terry, and on this video, we're going to talk about solving inequalities. So I have three problems written on here, but we're going to start with the one on the left. So we have 3y plus 4 is greater than a negative 5. And all an inequality is just a greater than or less than sign. But when we start to work it, we're going to notice that they work a whole lot like just a regular linear equation. So the goal here is we want y on that left side by itself and everything else on the right side of the inequality sign. All right, so we always know when we start to move things, we always start with our number. From a previous video, we learned that. So we have a plus 4, we want to move it. And when we move it to the other side, we do the opposite. So the opposite of a plus is a minus. So that gives us a negative or a minus 4. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we subtract that 4 from both sides. When we do that, that literally cancels out those 4s because they would make a 0. And we're left with 3y is greater than, and negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. All right, so we still have a number in front of our y. We don't have y by itself yet. And remember, if they're side by side, it's like a multiplication. So we want to do the opposite of multiplication. So we're going to divide by 3. What we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So we divide them both by that 3. That will then cancel out the 3's. And that will leave us with just y on this side is greater than, and negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So that we have y on one side, everything else on the other. So that is our inequality. Now, sometimes you may hear something called an interval notation. So this is what we have here is an inequality. It's an inequality form. So if we want to put it in interval notation, all that is we want to use basically, we want to use this form, but we want parentheses and brackets around it instead. So I'm going to draw us a little thing down here. And you're going to notice if we have a greater than or less than sign, we use parentheses with those. And if we have a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to sign, then we're going to use brackets. So let's go back up and look at our problem here. We have y is greater than a negative 3. So we always write down the number first. So we have a negative 3. And then we look, and this says y is greater than that. So we know that our infinity is it's gonna be going towards positive infinity. So we're gonna put our positive infinity on the right-hand side. Then with an infinity sign, you will always have a parenthesis. Always have a parenthesis. And next to your number, we'll always look and see, hey, what was my sign here? It was a greater than sign, right? So I look down here. Here's my greater than sign. Greater than signs go with parentheses. So I will put that parenthesis right there around my 3. And with that being said, I have just wrote this in an interval notation because it's just in parentheses or in brackets or a combination of the two. All right, so let's move on to our next problem here. We have negative 67a minus 44 is greater than or equal to 90. So we want a on the left-hand side by itself. So we know we're going to start out by moving that number, that negative 44. We want to do the opposite. The opposite of negative 44 is plus 44. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. So we add that 44 to both sides. So that actually cancels out those 44s, right? That makes a 0. So it cancels them out. And we're left with negative 67a is greater than or equal to. And that would give us 134. All right, so now again, we want just the a by itself, and we have a negative 67 in front of it. We know this is multiplication because they're side by side, so we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to divide by a negative 67. And here, if you have a negative up here, remember before we were like, we do the opposite. The opposite is the division because we had multiplication. That negative sign has to stay with it. Do not lose that negative sign. All right, so when we divide that out. This would actually cancel out those negative 67s. And we're going to be left with just A. And 134 divided by a negative 67 is a negative 2. Now, if you'll notice, I didn't write my sign down yet in between it, right? I didn't write down my inequality sign. Here's the reason why. If you divide by a negative, okay, I'm going to write this down because this is huge. If divide by a negative, we flip the sign. All right. So what that means is if you divide, we can see our negative right here, right? We're dividing by a negative. If we divide by a negative, we have to flip the sign. It was going this way, so we're going to change that and flip it, and it's now going to be going the other direction. And now we have our inequality. Now, if you'll notice on the first one, there was a negative 9 divided by 3. Yes, there was a negative involved, but it wasn't on the bottom, right? We weren't dividing by it. So that's why we didn't flip the sign. But this time, the negative was on the bottom, and so we're flipping the sign. So we want to write that in an interval notation. So we always write down our number first, right? So we have a negative 2. And then we're like, which side should we go? This says that A is less than negative 2, right? So we're going towards the negative side, so negative infinity. And remember, infinity always has a parenthesis. And here we have a less than or equal to sign. So this time that negative 2 is going to have a bracket around it. All right, so that is our inequality written for that, or inequality and our interval notation. All right, so let's look at our last one here. And this one looks a little weird. We have a negative 30 is less than 2x minus 40 is less than or equal to 30. So we're like, hey, there's 2 inequality signs. That's okay. Our goal is to get x in the middle by itself. So if you just kind of don't look at the 2 things on the sides, if I wanted to move, if I just want 2x left there, I've got to get rid of that 40, right? So I'm going to do the opposite, and that would be adding 40, correct? What I do to one side, I must do to all 3 sides. I'm going to kind of make a little line down through here where you can see that's kind of where it's separated. We have those 3 columns. So you'll notice that all 3 columns are going to have to get that plus 40 in there. All right. So now I'm going to simplify. So what's negative 40 plus 40? That is 10. We bring down our inequality sign. Here we just have 2x because that negative 40 and plus 40 cancel each other out. And that leaves us with less than or equal to, and 30 plus 40 is 70. All right, again, we're trying to get that x in the middle by itself. We know that that 2 is multiplied, so we want to do the opposite. So we will divide. And what we do to one, we have to do it to all 3. All right, so when we divide that out, we have 10 divided by 2 is 5. We have a less than sign. Those 2's cancel, right? Leaving us with an x is less than or equal to, and 70 divided by 2 is 35. And hey, we have got x in the middle all by itself. So that is our inequality. So let's see if we can write it in an interval notation. I told you that we write down our numbers first, right? We're going to put a comma between them. So we're just going to write down both of our numbers. Okay. And then we're going to look. This 5 has that sign by it, right? That less than. There's no equal, so it's just a parenthesis. But this 35, he has that less than or equal to, so he becomes a bracket. And that completes the interval notation.